Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video. I'm in this rather splendid place. Now, this is a disclaimer before we get going. A few months ago, I created a video. It was a debating video about whether it's a right thing to do in landscape photography to change the sky. Now, I argued in favor of changing the sky, but it was purely subjectional. I would never replace the sky, nor will I ever replace the sky when it comes to my own personal work in landscape photography. But so many people took umbrage to it. Lots of people even said, that's it, I'm not following you again, and they left the channel, which is really bizarre because I even made a disclaimer then. I'll leave a link to that video up there, which I made with my good friend Mally, by the way. So please do me a favor. After this, I'll leave a link at the end. Check that video out as well. Now, back to this disclaimer. I would never, ever, ever replace a sky. But, and for entertainment purposes only, not only am I going to probably replace the sky, I'm going to move that subject in the background and place it somewhere else. And I'll also manipulate the sea or add a sea. So I want to completely make an image up, pretty much from scrap. All my own work, stitching it all together in Photoshop just to see what I can come up with. But there's a very good reason why I'm doing that today. This behind me is a lighthouse called Herd Groyne Lighthouse, and it's up around about the North and South Shields on the East Coast, Northumberland way. I'm sure I'm going to get told off for saying it wrong, but it's pretty much on the northeast coast, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think personally it's one of the most picturesque lighthouses, but its location is really pants. Now, if you were here during a spring tide, I'm only imagining this, by the way, because I've never been here during a spring tide or during a very high tide, but I imagine there's going to be times when the tide will come up over the feet, in which case you could really isolate that lighthouse and it would be more befitting with my style of photography. But in this instance here, it's just a lighthouse on the end of a bitumen path, which isn't very exciting at all. Yes, there's a couple of different angles I can have a go at, but I'm not going to come away with a shot that I'm comfortable or happy with. So what I'm going to do, just for tonight, I'm going to take an element of the lighthouse and an element of the sea and an element of the sky, but if I'm not happy with the sky, I'm going to replace the sky. And I'm going to just mix and match all of the elements together just to see what I can create in Photoshop. But I will stress this again and again and again. I'm doing this tonight for entertainment purposes only. It's a whim, it's an idea I had when I got here because I thought it was fantastic, but it's just not in a great location, that's all. So please don't have a go at me. I just want to test myself and just see what I can really conjure up. So look, let me give you a timeline where I'm at now. Obviously, I'm on the East Coast and it's a sunrise location. So just for your information, and again, I want to get this out there right from the get-go. I'm going to sleep over in a van tonight. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be here and I'm going to capture this in all its glory, fingers crossed, during a sunrise. There'll be no manipulation. I get what I get tomorrow morning. I'm back to my normal self. It's just that tonight, because it's a sunrise location and I'm here at sunset, I just want to have a bit of a play, that's all, nothing any more than that. But what a fantastic place. Right, okay, so the time at the moment is 5 to 7, high tide is 8 o'clock. sunset is at 8 o'clock as well. So if we're going to get any light whatsoever, it's going to be in around about an hour's time from now. Got to tell you though, it's really busy with fishermen, it's busy with boats in the background, people walking up and taking pictures. So it's obviously an iconic lighthouse. If you look beyond this lighthouse, there's another 2 lighthouses in the background. The one to my left hand side is called Tynemouth Lighthouse, and the one on the right is South Shields Lighthouse. Hopefully I've got that the right way around, or I will be in trouble. I've got no intentions of going out and photographing them tonight or tomorrow morning. I just want to concentrate on this bit of glory behind me, this fantastic structure. I do love it. I will be trying my best, by the way, to find compositions that I feel will work. I'm not just gonna take a picture and then extract it and then, you know, mix it with all the other bits and pieces, because I'm using tonight as a recce. So this sunset time I'm using as a recce so I can come here first thing in the morning at sunrise. What a fantastic spot. Just behind me there's groins, looks like the remains of an old pier or something, or an old loading bay, same on the other side. Amazing buildings over there. Obviously there's ships up and down. Look at that, there's a speedboat in the background, as I say, and across there is old ruins, old castle ruins. I do apologise, I don't know what they are because I'm not here to photograph them, so I've not really done my research, but how awesome is this? What a great place. Because I'm a real stickler for lining things up properly when it comes to fine art photography. Look, if you look at the lighthouse in the centre now, in relation to the background, it just doesn't work. I need to be across here. I can't go any further across than where I currently am. Let's bring you back in. So something like that would work. I quite like that, that's quite nice. Imagine that with water all around the surface, and that works for me. I think that's really nice. Now, where it doesn't work, if you look at the legs underneath, bear in mind I'm being super critical here and super geeky. If you look at the center V legs, you can just see the legs behind that mirror them sticking out on the right hand side. So I'm not quite in the center in terms of lining up correctly for the lighthouse. In other words, I need to be, sorry if it's all juddery, I need to be here. Now I'm lined up here. Again, sorry because it's juddery, but I want to show you what I'm looking at in camera. Now you can see the lines line up perfect, and I really like that. That's pretty cool. That's good. In actual fact, that would probably make a nice image, except for the fact that the lighthouse in the background on the right hand side is overlapping, and I don't like that at all. So you can see the conundrum that I've got here. And also, if you're going to manipulate images, then there's no point having a really low down perspective looking up at a lighthouse and then looking down onto the sea, because they'll just never fit properly. So in theory, I have to take a picture of the background and the sky at exactly the same height to give me any chance of blending them all together. And that doesn't work in this instance either, because the lighthouse is raised. So already I've got problems. So it's not that easy, you see, it's not that easy. Right, I'm running out of time. I wish I hadn't started this now. So I'm gonna have to go up on that bank up there, just so I get a higher perspective looking down onto the lighthouse, and I'll photograph the lighthouse irrespective of what's in the background. Then I'll go forward of the lighthouse and photograph the sea ahead of me. And hopefully the perspective should be right, and hopefully they'll go together nicely. That's the thought process. Thinking and doing are very different things. camera pretty much the same height. I'm just going to get myself set up, taking a shot straight out to sea. In actual fact, if I show you in camera again, that's probably what I'm going to be looking at, and that works out fine. That works out perfect. I don't mind the lighthouse on the right hand side, the lighthouse on the left hand side. Symmetrically, it works. Now, because I'm going to create a fine art image, I could quite happily, is that in focus? I could quite happily choose to remove the lighthouses and the walls associated with the lighthouses altogether, but I can make that decision later on. Do me a favor though, if you live local or if you know this area well, if you've photographed this lighthouse in the past, let me know if there's any point when the water comes over where I'm currently stood, because I'd love to photograph it if it did. So if it's a spring tide or if it's a tide over a certain height, please do me a favor, leave a comment or drop me a PM, please, if you don't mind, because I really would love to come back and photograph this if this doesn't turn out very well, or if I don't particularly like the image that I'm going to capture tomorrow. I'm sure I will do, but there's always room for improvement, isn't there? It's a good thing about this industry, always room for improvement. That's it, that's all the elements in the bag. All we need to do now is mix and match, put them all together and see what the end result is like. Just before we do that, do me a favor, once again, I'm stressing it is purely for entertainment purposes only. It's like when somebody gives you financial advice and they always say it's not financial advice, it's purely for entertainment purposes only. Well, that's what this is. By the way, once you've seen the made up image, stick around, because I'll then show you the image or images that I'm here in theory to take, which is my sunrise images tomorrow morning. So raising the camera up, avoiding as much of the floor as I can, and where the lighthouse sits now, which is slightly off center, which is brilliant in relation to the two lighthouses at the back. That, I think, is my A1 shot for this morning. Let's try this 1 second. Okay, we'll like that. Focus on that. Let's take a sped up shot first, just to make sure we've got that lighthouse nice and crisp in the image. And now let's add some filters so I can extend that shutter speed to 2 minutes.